Xiao Qingrong's life in Area A has gotten better and better ever since he was recognized as Ceirin Ye's heir. He was eating every day with Ceirin Ye, studying mechanical prosthetics in the learning room, and getting to know Xingyan Hui and Liang Ceirin. Last month, Xiao Qinghuan visited the prison once and informed Xiao Qingrong that Ceirin Ye's deputies were now responsible for looking after her and had given her a villa. All of this worried Xiao Qinghuan a lot. She was relieved to learn that it was her brother's plan and only wished that her brother could leave prison sooner. The 2 years that Xiao Qingrong must serve in jail seemed to be going by fairly quickly. Already, 4 months have passed quickly. After finishing their meal, Xiao Qingrong and old Ceirin went back to their cell. When Xiao Qingrong arrived, he was, however, obstructed. Everyone refrained from speaking as the other prisoners around him slowly left. Xingyan Hui was standing in front of Xiao Qingrong. Xingyan Hui still looked down on Xiao Qingrong and couldn't understand how this skinny little boy had caught Ceirin Ye's attention. He wanted to test him, even after the incident of Pang Taidu's passing and Ceirin Ye's promise. "Let me check your qualifications." 7543. Xiao Qingrong's initial smile vanished as a fist came his way. His left hand had already taken hold of his scalpel and was avoiding the other's fist. Xingyan Hui delivered a punch and persisted in the fight, but Xiao Qingrong wasted no time in engaging him. He had become totally preoccupied with the study area's research. How does he have time to argue with these individuals? Xiao Qingrong's left hand was already in front of Xingyan Hui when he attempted another punch, and he at once felt a sharp pain. Then Xiao Qingrong appeared before him, and he realized Xingyan Hui used all of his strength, almost instinctively, to block his body with his arms. After falling, he was about to stand up when he was awakened by the pain in his neck and Xiao Qingrong's uncaring voice. "You risk dying if you move." Xingyan Hui's neck was now being cut by Xiao Qingrong's scalpel, and blood was trickling. Xiao Qingrong was slightly elated as she stared at the vivid red blood. He had not recently seen any blood. He randomly touched Xingyan Hui's neck with his right hand, gently wiping the bright red trace with his left hand still holding the scalpel, and then eagerly put a lick in his mouth. Xingyan Hui's scalp went numb at this action, especially after he noticed Xiao Qingrong's almost abnormal-looking eyes. Even so, Xingyan Hui thought that what the other side had said might be accurate. He might actually pass away if he moved. "How did you obtain the knife?" Xingyan Hui made an effort to calm himself as he felt the cold metal weapon against his neck and considered Pang Taidu's passing. "You don't need to be concerned about this, correct?" "Yeah. Let's talk about this." Xiao Qingrong spoke out of the blue as a thought entered his head. Xingyan Hui's back began to perspire as Xiao Qingrong's eyes grew even hotter while he was staring at her. Xingyan Hui remained silent, so Xiao Qingrong continued. "Why don't you try to outdo me? If you promise to give me something each time you compete with me, I'll agree. What do you say?" He spoke while stroking Xingyan Hui's neck gently. Xingyan wanted to retreat as his body grew cold. If not for the scalpel in his neck, he would have left right away. "What would you like?" He said this apprehensively and then had the thought that Xiao Qingrong might be even more perverted than the rest of the prisoners in the prison. "What do I desire?" "Well, it's been a while since I've had a roasted waist. Your body is in excellent shape." "Right, the waist must also be lovely." As he spoke, Xiao Qingrong purposefully touched Xingyan Hui's body. He realized he had alarmed the opposing party when he noticed Senjian's pale face. The sudden change amused him, and he burst out laughing. He pushed Xingyan Hui away and quickly withdrew his scalpel. "Xingyan Hui, I'm kidding, of course. What you do is up to you, but please don't antagonize me." He finished speaking and turned to head back to his cell. He wasn't worried that the other person would suddenly launch an attack. Fei Yanhui stood there after Xiao Qingrong had left, his face remaining pallid. He couldn't help but touch his neck as he remembered Xiao Qingrong's icy eyes. He saw his stained fingers and felt the drip of blood as he touched his throat. Every time he imagined Xiao Qingrong's eyes, he felt cold. Not yet available? As Liang Xian came around the corner, he said this while wearing a gloomy expression. He had a lot more strength than Sheng Yanhui did in his tall body. Liang Xian approached Sheng Yanhui while cocking his head to look at the wound. It is a scalpel wound, for sure. Perhaps what he just said wasn't a lie. I caution you against interfering with him because you risk losing that waist. Liang Xian witnessed everything that occurred, including Sheng Yanhui's attack, Xiao Qingrong's thin body's ability to repel the attack, and the sharp object in Xiao Qingrong's hands. Sheng Yanhui's neck wound led Liang Xian to conclude that a scalpel was used to inflict the wound. It's very unusual to find someone who can use a scalpel well and is so passionate about blood. Oh, I don't think you just came here to watch the show. I'm aware that Grandpa Xian intends to get out of jail. As he turned to leave, Sheng Yanhui remarked that even though the wound was minor and painful, he still had to deal with it. Liang Xian was a little taken aback by the information. Xian Yi had been imprisoned here for 5 years and had no intention of leaving. Why did he decide right away? They both had their own ideas, but 618 irritated Xiao Qingrong, who had gone back to his cell. What draws you to a roasted waist? 618 grew a little uneasy as she considered the host's current eyes. He had heard of sheep and pig waists, but what made his host so peculiar that he desired to consume a human waist? Is it even edible? 618, as a system, was unable to comprehend it. When Xiao Qingrong heard this, he laughed and claimed that I was just scaring him. His eyes flashed with an unidentified light. Do you really believe that I eat people? Naturally, I enjoy eating braised pork. He sat down on the bed and began to walk into the classroom of the system. He was given a prison term of 1 year and 8 months before being let go. Xiao Qingrong was supposed to study during this time. Xian Yi was making waves at the same time that Xiao Qingrong first entered the system. A representative sent from above arrived here today after informing the prison director 2 days prior. A big crime was committed by Xian Yi and his crew. Xian Yi would already be dead if it weren't for the missing $1.88 billion. It would take a heinous financial crime of that magnitude to kill someone. There are, of course, other factors as well. In other words, the tiger that had been dormant for 8 years finally awoke and displayed its fangs once more before carefully testing them. I didn't anticipate seeing you again, Mr. Xian. After what happened, I believed I wouldn't ever see you again. You were so firm at the time, after all. And Cheng, the current mayor of Anyang City, was the official who made the opening statement. And Cheng actually had no desire to engage in combat with Xian Yi. Although it was a gang, the Qinglong gang was very strong and assisted the police in many ways, ensuring Anyang City's safety in secret. And Cheng and Xian Yi were thought to be friendly and cooperative at the time. And Cheng would not have committed him to prison if Xian Yi hadn't been accused of financial crimes. And Cheng, I didn't anticipate the visitor to be you, but now that it is, I feel confident as well. Additionally, I am aware that you remain committed to locating the $1.88 billion. Please be patient, I know where it is. When he considered his heir, Xian Yi was in a good mood. Xian Yi believed that his 8 years in prison should have been sufficient to exact justice on his vicious daughter. Of course. Mr. Xian, you can be sure that the nation will put up with it as long as you explain where the stolen money is. Cheng shook as he thought about the $1.88 billion. His position would be secure if the $1.88 billion in stolen funds could be found. That's excellent, I'll admit it. That cash. Nobody in Anyang City's third prison knew what had happened, but a massive storm began to develop as soon as Cheng left the facility. And Cheng recognized Jiang Yuan as the woman who transferred the stolen money at the time through Xian Ye's explanation. The woman who appeared to have nothing to do with Ceirin Yi was actually Ceirin Ye's only daughter, so don't be fooled. Jiang Yuan reported the incident involving Ceirin Ye's criminal activity. After receiving $1.8 billion from her father's hands, she made the decision to report him without second thought. She then gradually injected the money through the entertainment company over the course of the next 8 years. They were unaware of how she founded a technology company more than a year ago. Now that her fully automatic car company had expanded significantly, it was planning a conference. When Jiang unveiled a fully automatic car to the public 2 months later, the police showed up and arrested Jiang Yuan and everyone else involved in money laundering. A number of the involved entertainment companies were seized. The technology groups belonging to Jiang Yuan were all taken. They recovered $6.8 billion in stolen funds following the seizure. Of course, the nation now has access to fully autonomous driving technology. Such sophisticated technology could never end up in the wrong hands. Although there was a lot of noise outside, the prison was mostly quiet. People used to die almost weekly, but things are better now. The prison guards hoped that this pattern would continue, with deaths occurring only once per month. When Enqing returned, he brought good news. Thanks to Ceirin Ye's sincere admission, they were also able to recover the fully automatic driving technology in addition to the stolen money. They made the decision to keep one eye open and the other closed in regards to Ceirin Ye's prior crimes. Enqing specifically informed Ceirin Yi that he could change the location of his jail. In other words, he wouldn't be at Anyang City's third prison. They were okay with it as long as he was under the supervision of a trained police officer. Ceirin Yi was incredibly pleased with the response he received. His objective was to leave. He had countless simple ways to escape, but despite the fact that his daughter had betrayed him, he didn't want to let go of her. Money was nothing more than a number to someone like Ceirin Yi. In a good mood after hearing the news, Xiao Qingrong declared that he would move in with Ceirin Yi after being released from prison. How difficult was it for one person to fight alone? Qinglong believed he could overcome most challenges and emerge as the greatest scientist of the century if he had a supporter. Xiao Qingrong was finally freed a year and a half later. The prison guard took some basic clothing and gave it to Xiao Qingrong before he left. I couldn't help but smile as I thought that this boy would still look good even if he shaved his head. 75:43, after going out, act morally. Xiao Qingrong joined in the laughter and was able to leave at last. How could he not be content? Nodded enthusiastically. Officer, you can be sure that I'll behave morally. You might come across my name in the future. He smiled at the prison guard and left the facility without saying anything. Shen Yanhui had already been released from prison half a year prior, and Ceirin Yi had already left a month prior. Along with that, Liang Ceirin reinstated his special soldier status. After exiting, Xiao Qingrong noticed Shen Yanhui standing next to his sister, Xiao Qinghuan, who had red eyes. Xiao Qingrong felt fortunate at the moment as she observed the two's appearance. Fortunately, he avoided digging up Shen Yanhui's waist at that point to spare his sister any pain.